Welcome back to American Agenda. There's a high school in Virginia that's coming under fire for this. They're having their students play a game of privileged bingo.
Yeah, Oakton High School in Fairfax County asked students to identify their privilege on bingo cards. Some of the spaces on the card include military kid, so you check that off. White, you check that off. Have your own bedroom, check that. Parents are married, parents went to college, those kinds of things. And if you don't have those, you can't check off them.
Literally putting people in boxes. Well, the move goes directly against Governor Glenn Youngkin's executive order, by the way, that bans inherently divisive concepts from public education.
Let's bring our panel back to discuss. Stacy Washington, I'll start with you. And can I point out something that I think these things so often, really, a lot of it's about class. Even when you are discussing these things, they're not necessarily about race, but of course they make them about race.
Well, when you have 67% of Black children born out of wedlock, then it can be made into a racial issue. And the Democrats like to set these kinds of issues up and then capitalize on them in order to get voted in again, and also to capitalize on the fact that they're the party that's always talking about race. And so they've taken this down to the level of education. And these kids are made to sit, and instead of looking across the room and seeing their friends, they're made to sit and look and think about who has their own bedroom or who's a military brat. And I can tell you, being a military brat is a privilege, but it comes with a huge sacrifice, and that is the things that your parents go through with the parent who's on active duty and the parent who's supporting that active duty parent. So I would say, sure, it's privilege, but it's also privilege of decision making. Good decision making brings privilege in that good decisions bring benefits. Brings the blessing.
And by the way, that's the point that I'm making on class. I mean, when the middle class tends to go to school, tends to work hard, tends to do those, all those
nuances allowed with this at all. And I also think that it would point out to kids, well, wait a minute, I'm not privileged because, or I'm disadvantaged in some way because my parents are divorced or because I'm not a military kid, then it makes them question, who they are. We want to bring this up, and then Jesse Jane will get you to respond. The Fairfax School District did explain its intentions. They've apologized for the lesson. They tweeted out, upon review, we've revised this activity. It was intended to provide students with an opportunity to reflect on their own experiences while building their critical thinking skills. However, the design of the activity does not reflect the seriousness of the topic. It's understandably caused concern in our community. We apologize. Jesse Jane.
Well, it's very unfortunate that they felt that they had to come out with an explanation. When you cannot communicate what you are trying to teach students well, and you have to come back with an explanation, we already see a fault right there. Less than 1% of this country serves this nation. And to now try to use the word privilege in an arrogance, in a way in which these kids think they're special, it is just simply degrading to those who have actually probably sacrificed the most for this country. Honestly, when you start saying that things that children cannot control, such as their race and gender when they are born, is bringing them privilege or not privilege. The school itself is not trying to teach critical thinking skills. What they're trying to do is try to incite a division. And this is part of what socialism does. Divide
and by
them,
the way, to
separate
make you feel
them.
And to make you feel guilty for making those decisions, because there used to be a time people would say, staying together as a couple, ideally in a healthy situation, being married is a good thing. Going to school and having a future approach, what am I going to do in the future? I'm going to work hard to get there. That was middle class. That was a good thing. Now you look at, and by the way, military brats, Stacy, they were the best people. They were the best friends in high school, as you know. Those were some.
As well as a veteran. So I can tell you, it's a privilege, sure, but it's a heavy burden for kids because their parents are always out on missions, and the possibility of a parent being killed.
Absolutely. I'm talking about the kids, that to hold that against them, that's a privilege.
No effort to find similarities amongst folks anymore. There's this effort to find differences and not what we all have in common.
Jesse Jane Duff, Stacy Washington, thank you. We could always talk longer, but we can't talk longer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.